Grisha the son of one of the richest men in Russia. And he acts like it. He is spoiled, very rude, and always gets into trouble because he never faces any real punishment. He does nothing useful with his life. He just spends his time partying, drinking, and taking advantage of women. One night, after throwing a girl out of his car because she refused to be intimate with him, Grisha is stopped by the police for driving too fast. He tries to bribe Captain Semyonov, like he does with every cop, but Semyonov refuses to take the money. Grisha still doesn't care about consequences, so he tries to drive away. Semyonov stands in front of the car to stop him, but Grisha, who has no empathy, keeps driving, forcing Semyonov to hold on to the hood. A little while later, Grisha's father, Pavel, arrives at the police station to pay for his release. Even in the jail cell, Grisha acts spoiled, demanding to be served. The police chief reminds Pavel about all the damage Grisha has done recently, including destroying a yacht. Now, he has also sent a police officer to the hospital with serious injuries. The chief warns Pavel that Grisha is completely out of control, and that he must do something about it. After bailing Grisha out, Pavel scolds him and threatens to cut him off, but Grisha doesn't take him seriously, because he knows his father never follows through. Feeling frustrated, Pavel visits his friend with benefits, TV producer Anastasia. Hoping to find some comfort, he tells her he doesn't know what to do with his son anymore. Sending him to the army isn't an option either, since he already pulled strings to keep him from being recruited. Anastasia then comes up with an idea. She knows a man she used to work with on horror films, who might be able to help. His methods are unusual but very effective. Pavel agrees to meet him. They find Lev Arnoldovich in his spooky house, pretending to hang from the ceiling with a rope around his neck. But it's all just a trick. Lev is an expert in creating illusions with special effects. He even shows Pavel how he made a smoking client believe his finger had been cut off. Pavel gets nervous and wants to leave, but Anastasia convinces him to listen to Lev's plan for Grisha. A few days later, after leaving a nightclub, Grisha sees his car being towed. He runs after the tow truck, but suddenly, he is shot and falls unconscious. When he wakes up, he is inside a stable, wearing strange clothes. A stable boy named Artyom tells him to saddle the horses, or their master will get angry. Grisha has no idea what is happening. Soon a man named Avdiy Mikhailich, who seems to be the foreman, comes in and drags him out. Avdiy kicks him while shouting at him for not following orders. Just then, the landowner, Dmitry Timofeev, and his son, Alexei, arrive. Dmitry hands Avdiy a whip, which he uses to hit Grisha once for not listening. Dmitry then warns him to prepare the horse quickly, or he will face worse punishment. Artyom takes Grisha back to the stable, but instead of following orders, Grisha jumps out of a window and runs away. He soon realizes he is in a village in Russia during the 1860s, before slavery was abolished. He runs around, asking people for help and begging for a phone or the police, but nobody understands what he means. Eventually he reaches the edge of the estate but accidentally falls into a lake. When he returns to the village to find dry clothes, he is captured by Avdiy and sentenced to be hanged for trying to escape. Luckily, Dmitry's daughter, Aglaya, arrives just in time. She begs her father to spare the prisoners, saying she is tired of all the killing. Since it is her birthday, Dmitry agrees, and Grisha's life is saved. A bird flies above them, watching everything before heading toward a building at the edge of town. But it's not really a bird, it's a drone disguised as one. This whole thing isn't time travel, it's part of Lev's plan to teach Grisha some discipline. Thanks to Pavel's money, they can afford this expensive setup. Lev is in charge, working with Anastasia, who uses her skills as a TV producer to make sure the illusion is perfect. There are hidden cameras all over the village, even inside trees, and a sniper is always ready with a tranquilizer in case anything goes wrong. When Pavel sees his son actually getting whipped, he starts to wonder if this was the right decision. But Lev convinces him that it's necessary for Grisha's own good. While watching Lev and Anastasia argue, Pavel gets curious about their past. Lev explains that when Anastasia said they worked on a horror movie together, she meant they used to be married. As Grisha sits alone in the stable, trying to accept the fact that he has traveled in time, the actors receive their scripts for the next scene. The director reminds them of the rules. Women must not shave their legs, men must not shave their faces, and items like bras, underwear, earrings, and rings are not allowed. Alexei picks up his script after greeting his girlfriend Liza, who takes care of the horses but isn't part of the acting. He also teases Aglaya about her role. The writers want her to be Grisha's love interest, which means she may have to sleep with him. Alexei questions where the line is between acting and something more inappropriate. Meanwhile, Grisha's life in the village is miserable. He has to wake up before sunrise, eats soup with flies as the only meat, work with horses he's afraid of, use the forest as a bathroom, wear pants without underwear, and get whipped whenever he disrespects someone. One afternoon, while taking a break, Grisha hears Aglaya crying. She tells him she's sad because her father wants her to marry an old rich man, instead of showing kindness. Grisha thinks it's a great idea, since the man is so old, he'll die soon, and Aglaya will inherit all his money. A few days later, Grisha steals a chicken, and asks Artyom for some tools to cook soup. After making the soup, Grisha eats it all by himself instead of sharing, even though Artyom did most of the work. When Avdi finds out about the stolen chicken, he demands the thief confess, or he will whip someone at random. Once again, Grisha shows no care for others, and stays silent, while Artyom is taken away to be punished. Later, Artyom meets Grisha and shows him his back, covered in fake scars made by the makeup team. But Grisha still doesn't care. While explaining why he feels this way, he sees Liza jump off a horse, and notices she is wearing modern underwear when her skirt accidentally lifts. Realizing this might be a clue about his situation, Grisha chases after her, and throws her to the ground to check again. But before he can, other villagers step in and pull him off, allowing Liza to escape. Since Grisha isn't improving, Pavel decides to shut down the entire plan. However, their conversation is interrupted by surprising news. Grisha is looking for Liza to apologize. The villagers ignore him at first, since he isn't supposed to know Liza exists, but Lev sees this as a chance for progress and tells them to help. Grisha finally apologizes to Liza, who has brought a wooden stick with a nail on it just in case. She accepts his apology but warns him that she will stay cautious around him. A few days later, the village prepares to celebrate Ivan Kupala, a traditional festival believed to be the most magical night of the year. According to legend, whoever you spend the night celebrating with will be with you for life. At the party, Grisha shows the musicians how to play the lambada and gets the villagers to form a conga line. Aglaya joins in and tells Grisha that she can't handle the thought of an arranged marriage, so she plans to walk into the lake that night. Instead of going after her to stop her, Grisha finds Liza and starts telling her stories about future technology. Liza feels sorry for him and his loneliness, so she listens, and even believes that he's a time traveler. Their conversation is cut short when Artyom arrives. After failing to pull Grisha away from Liza several times, Artyom finally mentions that Aglaya was last seen near the lake. Grisha finally realizes what's happening, and runs to the lake to save her, bringing her back to the village. However, when Aglaya tries to get close to him, he turns her down and looks for Liza instead. She isn't at the party, so he goes to her house, where all the stagehands quickly hide before she answers the door. Grisha wants to stay with Liza for the night, hoping the legend about the festival will make them a couple forever. But Liza isn't interested, and shuts the door in his face. The next day, Lev decides that Liza will be Grisha's new love interest, making her an actress in the production. Liza doesn't like Grisha much, and refuses to kiss or sleep with him, but she does want to help him become a better person. However, Alexei isn't happy about his girlfriend getting involved with Grisha in any way. The production then introduces a new twist to the story. Alexei is found drunk in town after causing trouble and injuring the sheriff. He believes he can do whatever he wants just because he's a noble. Instead of being disgusted by Alexei's arrogance, Grisha actually feels jealous, thinking Alexei had an exciting night. His opinion changes when Dmitri tells him he must take Alexei's place and receive the punishment instead. At first, Grisha refuses, but Dmitri offers him freedom and good food in return. Grisha agrees and, this time, remembers to share his food with Artyom. Meanwhile, Anastasia and Lev start getting along again, and Pavel begins to worry that they might get back together. But Lev finds this idea funny because he knows Anastasia truly loves Pavel. This surprises Pavel since he always thought their relationship was only physical, and now he has a lot to think about. Grisha is whipped 24 times, but Pavel can't bear to watch, so he leaves the room. Anastasia follows him and reassures him by reminding him how well Lev's methods work. After all, Lev's finger-cutting trick helped her quit smoking. When the punishment is over, Grisha goes to the landowner's house to get the papers that will set him free. Dmitri isn't there, so Alexei answers instead. But instead of giving him the papers, Alexei throws Grisha to the floor, kicks him, spits on him, and laughs at him for believing they would ever set him free. Grisha clenches his fists, thinking about fighting back, but in the end, he says nothing and just leaves, which disappoints Lev. After that, Grisha continues working in the stable, but he also spends more time with Liza and slowly falls in love with her. One afternoon, while they are walking together, they notice a bird flying in a strange way. It's actually a drone that has lost control. The producers get the sniper ready in case the drone crashes, But Liza distracts Grisha by saying she has seen this bird since she was a child and believes it's her guardian angel. Luckily, the technicians regain control of the drone before anything bad happens. Meanwhile, Alexei and Aglaya are both upset with how things are going. Aglaya is angry that Liza has replaced her, and Alexei doesn't like seeing his girlfriend spend so much time with Grisha. Alexei and Aglaya end up making love inside a carriage, but they are accidentally caught by Grisha and Liza, who happen to pass by. Liza is heartbroken after seeing her boyfriend cheating on her, while Grisha is confused, thinking he just saw two siblings doing something inappropriate. Because of this, Lev fires both Aglaya and Alexei. Liza is upset after what happened, so Grisha tries to cheer her up. He decorates the stable with candles and prepares a special dinner for her. They eat together, sharing a fork, then go stargazing. During their conversation, Grisha admits that if he were free, he would marry Liza. Remembering how he was tricked about his freedom papers, he confesses that he wanted to punch Alexei, but didn't, because, when he looked at him, he saw his old self. Liza is touched by how much Grisha has changed, so she kisses him. Meanwhile, in the real world, Aglaya appears on a famous talk show, exposing how Grisha has been kidnapped and tortured for fun. The police see the news and announce an investigation. When Pavel hears this, he panics and wants to shut everything down. However, Lev convinces him to wait, saying they still have time to let Grisha pull off one final heroic act. Since Grisha still doesn't catch any of the modern clues around him, they decide to stage an attack by having a group of Mongols invade the village. Grisha is spending time with Liza when she suddenly tells him that if they ever get separated, she wants him to know that for her, everything has been real. Just then, Artyom rushes in, telling them to hurry back to the village because the Mongols are attacking. Grisha, believing the story without question, suggests they run the other way to escape danger. But Artyom, following Lev's instructions through his hidden microphone, convinces him that if all the workers aren't there, the Mongols will burn the village. In the village, the Mongols have been given a feast, but their leader also wants a woman. He picks one from the crowd, but her father jumps in to defend her. The Mongols, respecting bravery, allow him to duel one of their warriors to win his daughter's freedom. The father loses and is killed, but because he paid with his blood, the daughter is set free. Then, the Mongol leader chooses Liza as his next victim. She screams for Grisha to help, but he is too scared and runs away. Since their plan has failed, Pavel is ready to shut everything down, especially since the police are almost there. But Lev still believes in Grisha and convinces him to wait a little longer. As Grisha runs, he sees the bird drone flying above him and takes it as a sign from Liza's guardian angel. Finally, he decides to do the right thing. He jumps on a horse, grabs Liza's old wooden stick, and rides back to the village. He strikes the Mongols on the head, then grabs Liza and escapes with her on horseback. Right after they leave, the police arrive on set. Since Grisha isn't there, Pavel, Anastasia, and Lev easily lie and tell the officers they are just filming a movie. The police believe them and leave without making any arrests. Meanwhile, Grisha and Liza ride past the estate limits and find a gas station, confusing Grisha. Just as Liza is about to explain everything, the sniper shoots Grisha with a tranquilizer. He wakes up later in a hospital, where Pavel tells him he has been in a coma for 3 months after a car accident. When Grisha asks about the village and Liza, Pavel acts as if he has no idea what he's talking about. Grisha tries to go back to his old partying life, but it doesn't feel right anymore. As a sign of change, he even gives his car to Captain Semyonov to make up for what he did to him. One night, while at a club, Grisha runs into Alexei and Aglaya. He asks them about Liza, but they pretend not to know him. Seeing how defeated Grisha looks, they take pity on him and decide to help. The next day, they take him to the ranch where the production had rented the horses. Liza is working there, and when Grisha finally sees her again, he asks if what she said was true, if everything had really been real for her. When she confirms it, they kiss and start a new relationship. Sometime later, Grisha takes Liza as his date to his father's wedding with Anastasia. He thanks his father for putting him in this crazy project because it turned him into a better person. From then on, more spoiled rich kids are sent to the village, and Grisha helps with their rehabilitation. What's your thoughts about this movie? Let us know in the comment section. Subscribe and turn on notification to get more movie recaps. Don't forget to like and share this video.